Alright everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So what we got going on today is I got invaded. I got invaded by geese. Alright, what you see behind me is the beginnings of a cornfield. So about a week ago, I guess it was about a week ago, I planted some corn seed that I had left over. That would have made it middle of June. And I did it just basically to see what would happen. I didn't know, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to get a corn crop out of it or not. But the package does say that you can plant it from, oh gosh, I forget what month it is, all the way up through like August, like spring through fall. And we're right in the middle of that. So I thought, what the heck, I'll go ahead and plant some corn. I had corn seed left over, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so if you look down here, you can see right there, that is corn. But if you look next to it, right there, that is a corn that has been chomped off. In fact, here's another one right there. Let me show you. You see right here, that is a piece of corn that has been eaten. And the geese love it. Matter of fact, I can prove it. Because if you come over here, hopefully you'll be able to see that those are geese footprints. They left behind the evidence. My garden forensics has determined that this is what's going on. So we're going to have to build a fence around this to keep the geese out until the corn gets big enough to where I don't have to worry about them anymore. So with that being said, let's take a look at how we're going to do it. Alright, so a quick overview of this patch I've got. You can see I've got a little arbor right there with some wood along the sides, and this fencing here is some leftover fencing I had from building that arbor back there that's got my cucumbers and my jeez Louise, look how big that thing is. I gotta show you this. Holy shimolies. Those are my loofah gourds. Look at the size of these loofah gourds. Man, just to give you perspective, that's my hand. I think it's huge. And that is too cool. Mama's gonna be very happy. So, some of the other things I have planted in there, of course I still have my cucumbers right there. Got a little bit of potatoes there and there. And then right here is my sweet potatoes that I planted from slips my neighbor gave me. And so what I want to do is I have some of this leftover PVC from another project. It's 1/2-inch PVC, and then what I'll do is, as you can see, you look in here, I have weaved that in between and then pounded it into the ground, and that'll make a nice temporary fence that'll last just long enough for the corn to get big enough to where the geese can't eat it anymore. It will grow back. I've had this happen before. Alright, so with that being said, let me get to work. Alright, so basically my PVC is 12 foot long. So I'm going to measure about a 4 foot length. And I've already got 2 other chunks. So that'll give me 5 total pieces to to use for supports for the fence. Now the advantage to the PVC is I can weave it in between the fence. It'll hold up to the weather, and I can always use this later on for other projects and just pull it back out of the ground. Alright, and like I said, this is stuff that I had extra from before. So let's measure out our 4 feet. Right about there. We'll use this chunk, cut the other chunk. Well, I messed that up. How did I mess that up? Must have measured something wrong. Alright, well, that's fine. Let's measure this one. See what I got left. 6 feet. Well, how did that? I don't know. Anyway, so we'll cut this in about 3-footer, which is plenty long. I just got to support it long enough. Just got to support it long enough to let the corn grow up to the point where the geese aren't my problem anymore. Doesn't have to be exact. Alright. So now, let's take you over here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically anchor it right about here. So to do that, all I got to do is take this, shove it in, bend it back, pull this out, go down a couple more, pull that one out, and shove it through. Alright, now you want to leave yourself enough room up here where you actually can pound that down in the ground a foot or so. We're going to grab a hammer. Very good. That should be solid enough. Yeah, it'll be fine. Alright, so now what I got to do is I got to put a fence up across here. So, I'm trying to let these potatoes continue to grow. I know a lot of you probably say, man, you could just pull them out. But I want to try and get the biggest potatoes I can. I'm just going to try and prop them up over here for a moment. See if I can get these propped up over there. This, by the way, is cucamelon, which is kind of cool. Never tried one yet, but I'm gonna. Alright. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna take a section of this wire, I'm gonna put it across here, and I'm gonna tie it in place. Again, this is all temporary. And one of the things with this wire, it comes on a roll, and you know, depending on how straight you want it, you kind of got to flex it to get it nice and straight. I don't need it to be exact by any stretch of the imagination. Alright, so then what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and I'm going to tie it in place right here on this post. Just using a pair of scissors and some jute twine. So when I first tried to grow corn here, like, the stinking geese became a problem almost immediately. So I should have known better, but of course I didn't pay attention like I should have. Now I'll go ahead and tie this in 3 different spots. We are in hurricane season. And so it's a good possibility that we could get a hurricane sometime in the near future. I'd like to be able, be able to hold up at least against semi-heavy winds. We're kind of lucky here. We don't normally get a direct hit here. Well, I'll probably jinxing myself by saying that. But here in Jacksonville, more often than not, it's a near miss. I mean, I hate to even. I imagine we probably had, since I've been here since '98, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 near miss hurricanes. Enough to push down trees and fences. Matter of fact, my other house, we ended up having a tree fall on the house. Which was quite the experience. Big old massive hickory tree. Now, if you're designing a fence to keep out predators, for like chickens or such like that, you have to build this quite a bit stronger. But like I said, this is temporary, and the primary purpose behind it is just to hold out geese, so they don't eat my corn, and even that's only going to be for a short amount of time. All right, so I had to go take me a little coffee break. Man, it's like hot. You can see I'm just sweating like a whore in church. You know what I'm saying? I may have to cut that out. I don't know.
It's a frequently used expression.
But I am sweating. So at any rate, so what we're going to do now is I got to cut this back. All right, with the idea being that I want to secure it right here, which works out pretty good because it just so happens and it's cut right there. Now, when you go to cutting this welded wire, what you want to do is you want to get up close, and these are about the best things for it. All right, they're called lineman's pliers. So you want to cut it up close so you don't have too much sticking out. All right, because that can catch on your clothes, cut your hands, and these little nubs are very sharp. And you can, if you want, you can file them down. I never do, but you can. All right, we'll just set this aside for the moment. All right, and then all I'm going to do is tie that off, and that'll keep them from being able to go in this way. A string. You can never have too much string. That was an A-Farts commercial. For those that are military and have been overseas, A-Farts is Armed Forces Radio Television Service. And they don't do commercials, so instead of commercials, they do all of this public service announcements, PSAs. But legitimately, you really can never have too much string. Now, keeping in mind, this is just a temporary project. I'm not planning on keeping this here forever. At least I'm not planning to. I'm just going to tie it off. I'm using just a little bow. And we'll tie it in 3 different places. Not so much for the geese as for the wind, or the possibility of wind. Now, for those of you out there like, man, this is not the way to build a fence. Well, this is what we in the Navy would call Southern engineering. make a plan, and you make it work. And it'll get the job done. Alright. And that'll keep the geese out. Now what we got to do is we got to rig this side here. Hopefully I have enough left. To do two things. One, oh yeah, perfect. Okay. One, I need it to go to this end, and then two, it's going to have to become a gate. And I'm going to show you the way I learned how to make gates. Now you can cut these off. I'm just going to bend them over, because oftentimes you'll find these come in handy either to stick in the ground, these little nubs here, or to use to secure one piece of wire to the other. You do want to get them out of the way to where they're not going to get caught up in your clothes or cut your hands. You can already see it got me once already. Yeah, all of you geese lovers out there, it's your fault I'm having to do this. Alright, so let me get this tied off and I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. Alright, so once again, what we're going to do, I'm going to weave this in and out a little bit. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to go in between each and every one. Maybe ever so often. I'm going to get it going between. And this one's not going to go down quite as far. And I'll show you why here in a little bit. This is going to be my fence post, or my gate post. All right. Now we're going to take this down a ways, just till it's solid. Okay, there. And then I'm going to take and cut some pieces off of this. Now this I'm going to clean up, take these chunks off because they're sticking out. Somebody's going to get stuck if we're not careful. Plus it's going to mess with the gate. All of this is geese. Geese. If you like to walk around in your garden like me, barefoot, you definitely want to pick these up. Nothing quite like a rusty piece of steel to ruin your day by getting stuck in your foot. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and strip all of these off of this one piece of wire here. I'll show you why here in a second. Alright, so I got those stripped. Now don't get me wrong, there's still some nubs on there. But we used to do this with baling wire back home. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to bend it in half. Alright, so that's about 18 inches or so, because this is a 3-foot tall fence. And we're going to cut it right about there. Alright. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make a loop. Alright. We're going to do this. Run it through. Hang on, put it the other way. Oh, guess if I carried my tools with me, I wouldn't have to go looking for them. All right. I'm just going to do a couple of twists, like so. A little smaller. Cut the edges off. Bend it back on itself. Alright. Then we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. Now we're going to weave this one through again, but this time we want to make sure that the top and the bottom stick out. And I've got to cut that to about that length. Hang on, let me get my cutters. Alright, so the idea is that this is going to go in here, and this loop will go on top. And that'll keep the fence solid. So I need to cut that about there. On this one, I want to weave it to where this part sticks out, top, that height. Take it out, couple. Come back out so that sticks out. At the bottom. Bend that out just slightly. And what we'll do is we just shove that into that bottom loop. Take that out one more loop. And this top loop, It'll go over the top like so, and you got a fence. Alright. So that way the geese can't get in. Tighten that up a little bit. If you ever go, oh no, I broke it. Oh, well, that broke easy. That's not cool. Let's see if I can finagle it a different way. Nope, we're going to do it different. I brought a wire hanger out here on purpose. Just for this reason. Originally that was my plan, was to use the wire hanger instead of the wire from the fence, but I thought, well, I'll just save my wire hanger. Guess not. Shape this. Man, it is so freaking hot out here, man.
Mm. Like sweat dripping down my sides.
Right.
It is very gross.
Yes, indeed. There. Now, if I was in the country back in Kansas, we'd use baling wire. Because every farmer's got baling wire. There we go. So that'll hold it good enough, and then when it comes time to take it out, you just lift the bottom, lift the top, and you can walk in your gate. When you're done, you just stick it back in, stick it in the bottom, and lift this up over the top like so. That will work temporarily, because geese aren't going to be able to get through it. Alright. I probably should have done that up one loop. Can I still do that? No, I want to test it. I want to test it. It'll be good enough. They won't be able to get through there. Alright, so that is how you build a fence. Keep the damn geese out. Alright, so they don't eat your corn. The corn will grow back. At least that's been my experience so far, is that even though the geese have chopped it down to basically nubs, normally speaking it'll grow back. But this is just, I mean, it was excess corn seed anyway, so I'm not really too terrible concerned about it. I will go through here, weed it out a little bit, and then if we don't get rain today, I will water it later on today. All right, but that's how you build a cheap and easy fence with basically little to no. Well, all right, so I bought this, you know, way back when to build my little trellis over here. All right, so I mean, obviously this did cost money. The PVC was stuff that I had from another project, so that is it was an expense, but it was already here. And then those stakes that I have over there were just garden stakes that I've had for years and years. So either way, bottom line is this should keep the geese out long enough for the corn to grow up and hopefully make me some more corn. All right, so thanks once again for stopping by. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. And grow something.